celebrate the 43-year reign of the Speed Metal Kings, Metallica. With 9 Grammy Awards and 14 nominations, 38 concert tours worldwide, and 11 studio albums that span 4 decades, the Titans of Thrash remain the standard by which all other metal is measured. We begin with a 1984 classic from their second album, For Whom the Bell Tolls, followed by the 1992 tour anthem, Wherever I May Roam. And then, let's turn down the house and light up the stage for the Auburn University Marching Band and their show, Metallica.
Another year has come and gone, and it is summertime. So you know what that means. It's time to talk about Auburn uniforms and your wild and crazy ideas. And whenever we have a discussion about Auburn uniforms, aesthetics, history, there's one person you know that's going to be here, whether you or I like it or not. Clint Richardson is back. Let's get into it. Wild and crazy uniforms with him and the Q&A time at the end. All those things coming up right now. War Eagle, everybody, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down, and we talk about that Auburn experience, all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family stuff. An easier way to say it, if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. Speaking of all things orange and blue, since he knows all about the colors, the uniforms, the aesthetics, and the history of it, folks, Clint Richardson's back on the show. Say hey, everybody. I'm going to be nice to him since I kind of took a shot at him already in the intro.
I'm just speechless. I don't even know how to.
You should just be prepared for it at this point. It's just kind of the routine.
I don't know why I do this to myself.
Because secretly you're a glutton for punishment.
I am.
And you
I was
enjoy
just about
it.
to say that too.
You enjoy the heck out of my ribbing of you and everybody else. But
I don't know about that.
We're back, Clint, 1 year removed from the last time that you and I sat down together for this particular topic. It's summertime, and of course, that means the 11th edition of Wild and Crazy Auburn Uniforms does it feel like it comes around quicker each and every year?
It did a little bit this year. We usually do this like mid-July, but obviously with the rest of the summer going on, this had to get bumped a little early.
What's going on this summer, Clint?
Nothing. We're not going to talk about that.
Nothing's coming.
Maybe later.
There's not going to be like an incredibly...
Let me Kermit my tea.
Kermit your tea. What? Am I missing some reference?
Yeah,
there?
you are. You are.
Wow. Oh, I got it now. Sorry. You and the youth sometimes slip past me.
I was just an old man.
But I got it now.
Oh,
So,
Lord have mercy.
Yeah, it does to me feel like it comes around quicker and quicker every year, maybe a little bit quicker this year, given what you've got going on 2 weeks from now. Certainly, folks, I know when Clint's on, y'all are excited to talk about maybe Auburn and Nike and all that stuff. Maybe he can take some questions about that at the end. But our focus today is to just have some fun. Let me reiterate that again, folks. Have some fun. You might be like me. I am a purist, a traditionalist when it comes to the Auburn football uniform, especially.
Painfully so.
It is perfect, does not need to be changed. However, we can have some fun with this and just talk about what might we do to not just Auburn football, Auburn basketball, Auburn softball, and many others that you have attempted throughout the years, because you've got 11 editions of Wild and Crazy uniforms. I throw Wild and Crazy on there because that's just what I like to call it.
I've been calling them wacky and everything else in between this week. So here we are again. So real quick, before we start talking about it in detail and bringing it up on screen,
any like overall thoughts this year about first explain what this is and just for the people who are maybe new to this concept, and just is there any trend that you're seeing this year with the submissions?
So the backstory of this is just for the last couple of years, well, I guess the last decade or so, I take your crazy concept, not you, Kyle, but just Auburn fans in general.
Yeah, you didn't take mine this year.
No, you're right, and I wouldn't have anyways. But I take just the craziest items and put them into an Auburn uniform for any sport. Typically the summer is really slow for a lot of content creators, and a lot of your, traditional media coverage places will just run out the same tired, boring, thoughtless pieces just on like, this team should wear this alternate uniform. And it means absolutely nothing. They're 15-year-old drawings and they look horrible. So this is kind of tongue-in-cheek poking fun at those guys, but also kind of proving that, as Kyle will gladly stand on this statue, that Auburn uniforms don't need to change that much. We can hope and pray that we get a couple of tweets here and there, but like some of the more outlandish ideas that always get thrown around might not actually be all that good. So again, this is just a dumb and silly side project. It's goofy. It's the summer. Let's have some fun. But also, there's a little bit of truth in it that we don't really need to change. Let's. I'm not a designer. I'm not an artist. So let's leave that to the real professionals here, and let's just have some fun with some goofy design elements.
And each year they get goofier, and each
They
year
do.
they some of them make me go, "What the?" So now, as I've always said this, and I think this is probably 3 years removed now, still to this day, the one that I just fell in love with instantly was that Tumors Lemonade submission
Yep.
by Avery. That has,
Yep.
I think, just been the perfect thing. And that was, you did that on baseball, correct? I think, if I remember.
That was basketball.
Was that basketball?
It was about 4 or 5 years ago, and I think that if there was ever one of these to actually come out of the design board and actually make it in real life, that probably is leading that charge. And there Avery is right there. But yeah, I think that one was a fun one, and kind of took the embodiment of this whole concept series to a different level.
Yeah. So there's a lot of good ones on here, and there are a lot of ridiculous ones on
there
here.
are. I mean, that's the whole point.
And that's every year, and that's what we're going to find this year. And so Clint's going to talk through, bring a few of them up on screen for you guys to see this evening, whether you're live or on the replay. We'll talk through a little bit of them. We're not going to show you everything. You've got to go visit the article, auburnuniforms.com. I've got it linked in the description. I've got it linked on the post if you're watching on Facebook or Twitter. So you should be able to access it. If you can't find it through us, Clint's got you covered on all his posts about it too. So please do go support him and check all that out, because this is just for fun. And this is what gets you through to football, folks. These are the little things, for all of you that are screaming at me every day. When are you going to give your season prediction, Kyle?
You don't have a prediction yet, Kyle?
No,
it's only June 17th.
So, like, why are we even taking these things seriously at this point?
Kyle, who's going to be starting quarterback?
Oh my gosh. So, okay, before
who's entering the transfer portal next year? Do you know? Like, come on, Kyle, you're supposed to be on top of this stuff.
Okay. Anyway, Auburn uniforms, crazy, wild, stupid. Before I get a little bit angry, so I'm going to start bringing that up on screen now before I punch Clint in the face, and we'll virtually, and we'll get this ball rolling here this evening. Now, Clint, if I asked you while I work this out here, is this year wilder than any other? Is it kind of in the middle? Is it less wild than most years? What would you say?
Oh, that's a good question. There are always outliers in this series. Some are always a little bit more tame, some are more outlandish, some are simpler, some are more just a little bit crazier in design element wise. This one I feel like kind of falls right in the middle of that spectrum. But I do think that some of these in here are some of my favorites of this entire series.
Cool.
So, we had a couple of years ago, let's embody the Cal College aesthetic and actually created a Cal uniform. Or what if Auburn wasn't the Tigers, but instead the Watermelons? And those are just my kind of go-tos of just how crazy we can get here.
Yeah.
I don't think we have anything that crazy this year. If you look at it, there's one that might fit that bill, and we'll talk on that one later.
Okay.
But I think the history behind it and the context really mates it, though.
Well, let's take a look at it right now here. We'll bring it up on screen. Clint,
we're not doing that one yet, Kyle.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you can bring this up, but we're not talking about that concept yet.
Okay.
Jeez.
Okay. Sorry. I thought I did something wrong. This is what happens.
Messing up my shows.
That's what I do, though. I create havoc, and things get a little bit crazy. All right. So, Clint, take it away. Which one are you showing to us first this evening?
So this is the first one in the article, and I am going to butcher some of these names, but Amarak suggested, what if Auburn and Oregon had a rematch of that 2010 national championship game, but swap uniform styles.
Mhm.
Of course, I'm not going to make an Oregon version of an Auburn uniform because I'm only doing one of these. But if you remember that game, you remember Oregon brought out an all white and silver uniform with some carbon fiber texture on the helmet and some neon yellow um, uh, trim on all of it. And it was a little outlandish and not the best look for Oregon. So how do we turn that and make it Auburn? Well, we've got to swap yellow with orange. And just to make it a little bit better, let's throw in some neon blue.
Mhm.
And let's just bring this up full screen. This is what you get. So um, we've got the helmet with the carbon fiber texture. It's got a stripe right down the middle that had like, I think it was like Win Battle Oregon or something like that. And I
That sounds familiar.
tweaked it to include just Auburn instead of Oregon. Just the logo on the sides, and it's just the one color logo. It's not going to be the outlined version that we see on the helmet currently. The Oregon uniform had that duck wing pattern on the shoulders, and replaced that with a unique tiger stripe claw pattern. It was about the only thing that I could find that would kind of fit that motif.
Mhm.
Stuck with the same Bilotti bold font for the numbers as what Oregon sported, and then just kind of matched the colors the rest of the way. Again, swapped that neon yellow for this neon orange. Um, Oregon's numbers, I think, were actually silver outlined in that neon yellow, but
Mhm.
just to make it pop a little bit better, just did it this way. So this one is actually kind of tame comparatively. I know that a lot of people, especially from the Auburn section, are not huge fans of Oregon's uniform history, but if there was one to go and make it Auburn-esque, this one kind of fits. So
It really does. You look at this, you clearly see all the elements that will recognize. I mean, because let's be honest, Auburn fans can really picture that game and those moments and those scenes and what Oregon looked like against Auburn because it's such a key moment in Auburn history. And this to me is literally like you swapped our colors, our schemes, or not scheme, but matched it all with that. I'll be honest with you, Clint. Of all the ones that I've hated, this is probably one of the least of these.
so he loves it.
I don't love it, but let me add this to you. We know how much you love talking about orange uniforms and people's misinformation about it. I know this is not a bold orange uniform, but I think I'm fair to say this has more orange on it than Auburn typically does. Am I fair in saying that?
Absolutely.
This is about all I want our orange to be added to the uniform. Like to me, this looks really good, especially when framed with the white. I like the gray helmet or you call it the blue on there. Like I don't hate this, Clint. I'll be honest with you.
I'm surprised. You always surprise me with these on which ones you do and don't despise.
It's
So.
not a matter of which one do I despise the least? no, seriously. I like the effect of the tiger claws. I know that was probably difficult, like you said, to match with the feathers that they had on the thing. So
Yeah,
what do you do?
and like shoot, let's just pull up that game. Yeah, let's see if I can't find a decent photo of Oregon from that year.
Because that was kind of the talk of the game leading into it was not just the two offenses, but what is Oregon gonna wear? And they come out with that.
Well, and like, how do you take a duck wing, a bird wing feather? I mean, of course, we could have done
stripes,
an eagle feather, but that's a little too on the nose, so I didn't want to do that. But yeah, here's your comparison. You can see that it's, they actually for some reason took press photos in white pants, but ended up wearing the gray pants. So that's beside the point. But this is
wait, Clint,
the inspiration.
Clint, do you mean that they might do promotional things that they don't actually play in?
Pretends to be shopped. I've been preaching it for 12 years and people still don't listen to me.
How about this? I know we're all about Auburn here, but go back to show the pants again with the white pants. This does not work for me. And then
Really?
thinking about it with the white pants, if in your concept for the Auburn switcheroo on this, doesn't work for me. Just to be honest.
You like it? You
I like it.
that
I
helmet paired better?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can stand with that.
Yeah, I like that a lot better. If we're going to pretend that this uniform concept could be utilized by Auburn and just having fun, I would much rather us play in those gray pants that you proposed.
That's fair. I'm fine with that.
He said the concept is called the Bo Nick Special.
We'll take it.
I was literally thinking it, Clint, and I didn't know if anybody would. Bo Nix is one of those these days. It's kind of like he's more fondly looked at now. I don't know if you bring up him sometimes, it gets a little rowdy in here.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, but good start though, Clint. Anything else from this particular design that's worth noting, or things that pop out to you?
No, I don't think so. You ready to move on?
Let's move on.
All right, number 2. Let's see. All right. So, Cody is fascinated with the Jolly Obby. If you've never seen the Jolly Obby, it's a whited out version of the Sailor Obby, with crossbones replaced with crossing rolls of toilet paper. So it's a pirate flag made into an Auburn pirate flag. And Cody has, over the last 4 or 5 years, suggested this concept for different sports. We've done football and we've done baseball. Now it's time to do basketball. And honestly, this one might be my favorite of the bunch, just because I try not to, like, how easy would it be to just go take that first one from football years ago and just slap it onto a different uniform? So
Yeah.
trying to do something different with them, so that each sport has a little bit more of a unique take on it. I'm really happy with this one. So
I'm really shocked that this is the last one of the 3 that you're doing too. I mean, I know baseball is your true love about all of this, but I'm shocked it took us this long to get to basketball and Jolly Obby.
Yep. So I actually had to not use Cody's suggestion one year just because I didn't want to do Jolly Obby for 3 or 4 straight years. So, and he was cool with that. He knows what we're doing here, but this is it. So we start with that all black uniform just to match the background of that flag. We put a script Auburn on the front, and then we just throw the crossbone, the cross toilet, whatever we're gonna call that. I don't know. But we just have to throw that onto the front of the jersey. The numbers are going to intersect that. It's just going to frame it pretty well. And I actually really like, I don't know if it's going to show it very well, but the bottom of the tail on the script kind of fits nicely with that top toilet paper roll. So that was a happy accident.
It does. So you didn't intend that whatsoever.
Nope, happy accident there. And then Auburn basketball has often worn asymmetric uniform designs, especially in the 90s. So that's kind of what the inspiration here was, that just a large Jolly Obby on the left leg, and then the right leg is going to differ, and it's going to match the trim of the jersey and just have that crossbone pattern repeated over there. And I think the toilet paper on the back by the nameplate might be a little too much, but I really like the pattern, that crossbone pattern across this one.
You know, honestly, Clint, as I pull back, like I'm not going to do it on camera because I'll move away from the microphone, but like pulling back from that image a little bit, it doesn't appear to be it appears to be a crossbone and not toilet paper. So I think that's a really good addition to it. I've never been a fan of the designs around the sleeves type. I shouldn't say that. Maybe the striped ones back from the 90s and stuff when they had the little, I don't know if you remember those, but the stripes around them, that was probably one of those things. But You know, they always make fun of us for using too much toilet paper. We use a lot of toilet paper in this one.
Yep. And I mentioned it in the write-up, and I'm actually trying to see if I can't find a photo of it real quick. But um the kind of the inspiration around this was actually like a late 90s LSU uniform. Boston
Okay.
College also wore it. Um, I'm trying to see if I can't find it. But the the design was essentially that the um, around the collar and around the arm sleeves
Yeah.
was just like a pattern of LSU stamps.
Gotcha.
And they were kind of loud and gaudy with that. But that was kind of where I was going with this one. So
Mhm.
uh,
Apparently, I
I
should
heard
never
that too.
question.
I
That's
heard that
I
too.
know. I know it's a stupid question. Thank you,
If I
WT.
wasn't actually actively looking for this photo, I was about to call him out for the same thing. So I appreciate you.
WT is always going to find a way to make sure he puts me in my place.
Somebody needs to,
Well, yeah. I mean, Jessica does a pretty good job of that, but she's asleep right now. So,
and I can't be here every night you're on live. So
well, that's
somebody
true.
needs
That's
to.
true. That's true. Okay, so Jolly Obby. Yeah, I love the concept of it. I wouldn't be opposed to us having. Well, I shouldn't say I wouldn't be opposed. I am opposed to change. Of the amount of opposing that I would be, this is not one that I would be opposed to having so much in basketball because think about this. How many schools out there are Pirates? ECU. Is there anybody else? East Tennessee, are they Pirates? No, that's
I don't
something
know.
else.
There's all sorts of like
Buccaneers.
the Buccaneers, all that kind of stuff. So there's a handful, but it's certainly not as common as
Yeah.
Bulls or Tigers or
My
such.
my point is this. I would love if we were playing some pirate team, let's just say ECU, and we bust this thing out on our home court. Let's get ECU on the schedule, and then lo and behold, here comes out the all black Jolly Obby with a toilet paper roll, and they're just gonna be like, "What the heck?" And they're like, well, "If you know, you know."
We would be saying the same thing. Don't you worry.
Did you try? Did you? I know it was a happy accident with the Auburn script coming down to that, but did you try any other Auburn writing there other than that one to see how it would work?
No, Cody's suggestion specifically called for the
Okay.
script, and I think the script works well on a basketball uniform. So if there's one thing that I'm hoping for of this upcoming uniform, tons of things coming out next year. I kind of hope I do see the script on a basketball uniform. That's what I'm hoping for right now.
This is probably you're walking into a territory where anything's possible at this point. A change begets change, and that makes people like me twitch a little bit. But certainly,
I don't think you'll have to be twitching too much.
I know, but listen, part of me hopes, Clint, for you and everybody else that love this, that you get a little bit of something. There's a part of me that wants y'all to be happy, but then I'll have to deal with it anyway. So you said this is your favorite out of all the Jolly Obbies.
Yeah. So the first one was it was actually Cam wearing the football uniform, and it had little patches along. I know that was on the back of the helmet. I think I put it on the front of the jersey somewhere. Just little money bags, just as like a.
Oh, I forgot about that.
It was the Barn Cheaton uniform.
That's a good one.
And then the next year, we did it as a all black with white pinstripe baseball uniform. And pinstripes are just a pain to Photoshop. So, as nice as I think that uniform would actually look in real life, it's not my best Photoshop. So, we didn't mention that at the front. I am not a designer. I am not an amazing Photoshop person. I just know how to do it to make stupid stuff like this.
May I propose the next iteration of Jolly Obby for you someday?
You have to talk to Cody, but have at it.
It'd be a little uncomfortable, but swimming and diving.
No.
It fits, literally.
And we're
Clint,
done here, everybody.
Clint, I'm just saying, you are a completionist, and let's get on the speedos. Is what I'm saying.
Nope.
No.
I am
All right.
to just piggyback off of that for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
It's hard enough for me to do gymnastics because there's not a lot of coverage about it. It's
Sure.
photography coverage. We're not going to talk about other coverage.
It's just going down like there's a spiral happening right now that I'm not sure that I can.
You started this, so as that completionist in me loves being able to at least have a complete picture of a sport, so that I can say Auburn basketball has never worn black before. Um, that's hard for me with sports like track and field and swimming, where it's a little personal on what the athlete wears,
Right.
and there's not a whole lot of coverage on it, so that I don't have a lot of reference material. So if you're genuinely curious why swimming and diving is not on the website, part of it's because it's speedos and it's weird. The bigger part is it's hard to do.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying.
Enough of that.
I'm just saying it makes the most sense for the next iteration of the Jolly Obby. But this is not related, but of course, with the Dustbuster. Listen, that might be a good one if you ever
You
just
know what? I probably should just do that for you guys.
You probably should. Just one day randomly, the next time you're on for a random topic, just say, I have a surprise. Here's the Dustbuster uniform.
And we'll make it like a jersey t-shirt so that you can actually buy it.
Yes, that would be good stuff right there. All right, on to the next. Unless you've got something else in this one you want to talk about.
That's all for this one.
I took it down.
You did. This is all your fault. All right, number 3. You asked me earlier what the biggest trend was recently.
Yeah,
it's 100% powder blue, and you will see it in a couple of different iterations in this post. We did one last year. That was actually the featured image on that post. But as I'm sure you realize that football, basketball, and to some degree baseball are kind of the ones that get all the attention.
Sure.
There isn't a lot that we've done for softball, actually. I think this is probably just the second one we've done for softball. So how do we take the classic 1970s, 1980s powder blue uniform and turn that into a softball uniform? Well, this is how.
It just makes sense, doesn't it?
It makes sense. And again, this was a specific request to use the script instead of that arching word mark that Bo and teams from back then actually wore. I put all of these on modern Nike templates just to kind of play with it this year, kind of show what might be possible. The new Nike baseball, softball templates are a little weird, and the pullover styles have this really unique collar that can make or break the design, let's be honest. And there's a couple of softball designs that don't work very well. But just big orange, white, orange stripes on the sleeves, matching stripe on the collar, on the collar, matching stripe on the pants. Kept it kind of modern with the copper plate numbers, and then of course put the bid script in orange and white on the chest. I really loved this design. The only thing that I was stuck with and I didn't love were the sots. I like sots, I like striped sots, I like stirrups. I could not come up with anything that worked with this set.
Okay.
Somebody online had suggested maybe white sots with the stripe or something. And the problem with that is it was too similar to Ole Miss. Of course,
and we
I know
can't have that.
A lot of people always will compare powder blue to Ole Miss, and rightfully so. I think Ole Miss actually has 2 powder blue uniforms right now, their softball program, but they always pair it with a white belt and white striped sots. And I feel like that takes away from the look. Red socks and red belts probably would look better for them. So I don't love the solid orange socks here, but it's the best that I could do, and that's on me.
It's
a
quite
little
a bit of
disappointing.
orange, when you put that all together. But listen, if you are a fan of the powder blue, other than changing obviously the wording across the front, or the script across the front, that's about a perfect rendition of the baseball thing that you can get, and makes me ask the question, why has that not happened yet?
Well, if you want a little inside baseball, pun
We
intended,
love it. A little inside
um,
softball, actually. Thank you.
no, we're actually going baseball.
Okay.
The all navy look that baseball has worn the last 3 years was supposedly supposed to be a powder blue uniform, but then they changed it. So, do we get powder blue next year with Nike? I am just waiting as much as you are. Actually, I'm waiting more than you are.
Would
So.
you like to throw down a prediction for that?
Nope.
Oh, dagnabbit. Dagnabbit.
You
Listen,
always think you can do that to me, and it doesn't work, Kyle.
people on our different shows trying to get season predictions out of me don't realize that it is more difficult to get a prediction out of you than it is about a season prediction from me right now. I have to work really, really, really hard for that. WT says, I can see the white socks. I can see white socks with orange and blue striped stirrups on that one working. Any thoughts?
Yeah, it probably would. Again, my thing with this is powder blue on the footwear is a little too much. I think orange stirrups probably would work well. Powder blue to me doesn't work well as a trim color. It has to be the full body color. So, and of course, I can't bring in navy with this with this specific look. You could incorporate navy in here as a tertiary color, and it might work a little better. But yeah,
where would you put navy on here? As a tertiary color.
Either between the orange and white or between the orange and powder.
Okay.
Just as a tiny, tiny little thin border color.
Maybe so the seams of it are blue or something. I don't know.
It's possible.
Here I am trying to act like I can throw out color schemes and things like that. Listen, I do.
Get back to your prediction, your season prediction,
my prediction,
and lead this to me.
I am going to throw a prediction out, Clint.
Oh boy, I get a uniform prediction into Kyle.
I'm gonna say in the next 5 years, Auburn softball will run out in a version of this. I'm going to say it. Okay. I have no basis to know that. That is just me.
You have no basis to know that.
No basis. You see what I did there? There's all the puns tonight. Inside baseball and softball. All right, sorry, I'll move on. We're done. Again, here's the theme that I found myself a lot this year. Of course, as always, as a traditionalist, cringe a little bit, but I always have fun with it. But I found myself as I went through a lot of these designs, I was like, okay. Like I don't hate it. There's been some that I just went, oh, but this one has the history with baseball, and not to say that Auburn baseball and Auburn softball have to do everything the same way, but I think this is kind of one of those things that's just like a natural thing and would have a lot of hype around it because of people's favoritism towards that in baseball. Yeah. I think it would just
and I think that powder blue is a very popular color right now. If you go and look at the stores, if you go and see what people wear on game days, there's a lot of powder blue, and it might just be a trend. It might be coming back into style fashion-wise, but it's just a good-looking color, and it works well for Auburn. I know W.T. Gardner said powder blue on any Auburn uniform would be an abomination, except it's part of history. And again, if we can tangent a little bit, while Ole Miss kind of does own that powder blue, powder blue was used in the 70s and 80s in Major League Baseball as a alternate to using gray road uniforms. So every team in MLB had a powder blue uniform, whether it worked or not. it was a good look, and I think it's starting to come back. There's a lot of powder blue coming back in the rest of the country. Um, I think it just works. It's a good color, and people are starting to realize that again.
Random tangent. Is the North Carolina blue, is that powder blue?
No, that's Carolina blue.
Okay, so it's not even the same thing there, but that's the
It's
closest thing
close.
to
It's
it, isn't
close.
it? Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's what I was wondering on that. Okay, well there you go, powder blue softball. I've dropped my prediction. Whether it's this exact design or something else, I'm saying in the next 5 years, softball bust out with some powder blue uniforms, and I wouldn't be super unopposed to it.
That's a win coming from this guy.
Listen, that's I do what I can. I'm trying to be flexible here. I'm trying my best. All right, we got one more.
Yep, we got one more. And this one, gotta stick with me for a minute.
Okay.
So, Thomas. Thomas is a little bit of a historian and brought a great concept idea to me this year. So, what if Alan Potts brought home a different color scarf to Virginia and Auburn chose a different mascot from the deserted village? What would that look like? This requires a little bit of the backstory, and I
Quite
had
a
to
bit
look.
of a backstory.
I had to
Jeez.
look this one up myself for parts of it. So, as you know, Kyle, and I hope a lot of people know, that Auburn's name comes from the poem "The Deserted Village," and uh, good lord, I'm losing my train of thought here.
Deserted
Um,
village.
Oliver Goldsmith, 1770 poem. There's a little bit of the backstory right here in this article about it, but um, that's where the city name comes from. That predated the school. Um, when George Petrie was setting up the first football game against Georgia in 1892, the Atlanta Constitution, the newspaper in Atlanta, whatever it's
Yep.
called, called Auburn, asked Petrie, "What are your colors? Because we're decorating downtown. We need to know what colors you want." And kind of in a panic, Petrie went with his alma mater's colors of Virginia, which were now orange and blue.
Mhm.
What I didn't know previously was that Virginia had originally been red and gray as a Confederacy color scheme.
Okay, makes sense,
And
right?
so in 1888, the student body had a massive meeting on campus to decide on something new. We don't want to be associated with this anymore. We need something that looks a little bit better, not these drab colors of crimson red and gray. So, Alan Potts, who's actually a star athlete for Virginia at the time, walked in wearing an orange and blue striped scarf that he had gotten from I had it right here. Oxford University in the UK, because he was over there on a boating expedition. One of the other students grabbed that scarf off of him and waved it around and said, "What if we did this color scheme?" And it was immediately accepted. And that's the butterfly effect of how Auburn got to where they are now.
Okay.
And of course, in the deserted village is also where we get tigers. So it's a line in the poem, and there's a couple of other animals mentioned in the poem. So let's play this one out.
Okay.
Let's not pick tigers. Let's go with something else in there. There's not a lot in this poem, and it's a long poem, so it's hard for me to go through it. But I think there was like um, maybe bunnies or something, but there was scorpions. Scorpions just has a unique sound to it, and I couldn't think of any other school, any other athletic team, period, named the Scorpions. Oxford at the time was orange and blue. And what if they went to a different? What if Potts went to a different school in the UK? Maybe Columbia, another vintage and very old school in the UK, whose colors were Columbia blue and pink. I'm sorry, it was just Columbia blue. I got a little ahead of myself.
Yeah.
But Columbia blue is more teal in color. So Orange and blue are complementary colors. They're right across the street on the color wheel.
Sure.
So I just did a little math, put it into a website, and said, "Give me a complementary color of this," and it popped out pink. So this is our new
Sure
color
did.
scheme.
It
This
sure
is our new
did.
color scheme, and it's different. So again, I joked about it earlier about the Auburn watermelons. I've done green and pink,
Mm-hmm.
so I had to make this a little different. So the idea was Auburn was now named after the scorpions in the poem. Auburn is now no longer orange and blue, but this greenish blue teal color and like this salmony pink color. But Columbia was also established in like the year 1030 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still old, it's still traditional. Auburn's still going to be traditional. How can we do this the same way? How can we butterfly effect our way all the way back and then all the way back forward? And this is what we came up with.
The
And it's
Auburn
different.
Scorpions.
It's different. But hear me out.
Hear me out.
So instead of the colors that I showed you earlier, I saturated them a lot more, which is not uncommon in sports. We're just going to saturate it because it's a little bit easier on your eyes. It's a little bit easier on the apparel manufacturers. So now we've got this like rich mint green color. And okay.
Well, okay. That
Yep.
would be interesting. Thank you for that, WT. We'll move on from that.
Okay. Where was I?
Hey, listen, you're the one that got thrown off by the Speedos earlier. Now you can move on from that.
So let's keep a traditional striping pattern. So actually what is on the shoulders is the northwestern stripe, just with the outermost stripe missing. And like we talked about with the powder blue, there is a little bit of navy in this to border white, green, and the pinkish color. So makes everything pop a little bit. Auburn has always worn a very traditional blocky font, but I wanted something a little different and just went with a Clarendon font. So if you've ever seen old videos of UCLA back in the 70s, they wore Clarendon. Kansas has worn it a lot, and it's actually what is painted on the sidelines of most football fields. So again, it's a very traditional. It's more of a traditional font that is going to get used here, and so I tried to come up with something a little different on the helmet. So I was like, do we go white? Do we go pink? But wanted to keep it actually looking decent. So I added, we've got that matching green shell, which I think is a really nice shell if this was a real thing. That color kind of pops in that hide gloss finish. A navy face mask just to kind of tone it down a little bit so it's not all in your face. The scorpion on the sides, and can't see it very well right here, but we've got a scorpion right on the front bumper.
That's what I was That's what I was leaning on my screen to see.
And we've got two on the back. So again, this is kind of where we're still playing out that butterfly effect. I thought instead of War Eagle,
I love Clint. I actually love this. I'm not gonna lie.
Let's do something different.
I love it, actually.
Because as I said, I'm not the most creative person in the world. I actually offered this to ChatGPT and said, all right, what can you do for me? And it gave me a handful that were just not great. Then there was one in there that it was a longer phrase that I didn't love, but I liked part of it. It said, strike first. It's like, I like that. That's got that just, it's a tougher mentality that I think, you could see a corny coach use as their season mantra. And I really liked that. So I stuck with that. That's going to be on the rear bumper with two scorpions on either side. And you can't see it super well in this, but I want you to look on the back of the helmet See the warning decal right here?
Yeah.
What's that right above that, Kyle? Can you tell?
Is that a on my screen? I can. Is that like a silhouette of a scorpion tail?
It's a constellation.
It's Scorpio.
It's Scorpio.
Ah,
And
nice.
and as I said in the article, with a little bit more creativity, somebody could have incorporated Scorpio more throughout this. I think it would be really cool to see that Scorpio constellation pattern installed into the numbers or even into the stripes. I think there's a couple of ways that you can incorporate that a little bit differently, but this is one that I was working on. I was like studying the history of it, playing that butterfly effect game, and then it hit me like there's more to this. So this has so much more potential to go so much deeper in many different routes, but as far as like the creative experimentation of this one, this is my favorite this year.
I was gonna say the way you've talked about this one, the amount of detail that you put into the history of it, I can tell you were just. How many nights did you spend on this one?
One.
That one? That's
One.
it?
Yep.
Surely you went back and kind of tweaked some things though a little bit when you just went, no?
I was happy with this one.
Wow.
I had a lot of fun putting this one together, and just, I mean, when it clicks and you enjoy it, it's a lot of fun, and this was one of them.
So this is one of the great things about some silly topic of Auburn uniforms, as some people see it, because in the uniforms is our history, as you have so eloquently put in your explanation of how we got to this point. You broke something down to bring it back up into a different butterfly effect of things. What you might say a multiverse of sorts for certain other cinematic universes and stuff. So in a different reality, we what is this? Look, the chant would be Scorpio.
I like it.
This actually makes sense. The Scorpio. I was sitting here thinking, I love the strike first mantra. I was like, can we do strike first? No, I don't know. And would we do like this or something like that? Or I mean, I don't know. Like,
again, there's a lot of like if I were a EA Sports YouTuber and was going to play up like I'm gonna create a team and here's my, do the whole fantasy football lineage with EA Sports or whatever, this would be a fun one to go with. There's a lot you can do here.
Maybe Clint needs to start his own YouTube channel where he makes uniforms for everybody and then he sells them so that they can use them on certain games and things like that. I don't know, just a thought.
No, I'm not getting trademarked. No.
I know.
No.
No. Anyway, Scorpions from War Eagle and Tigers to Scorpions. Can we have what secondary mascot, quote unquote, would we have with the Scorpion? Like
that's a good question.
That's what we got to work into this whole thing here.
Probably some desert hawk or something.
Desert hawk or something. I would probably go with a buzzard, maybe. Yeah. And then we would, when the Alabama fans like to say war buzzards to us, that would probably play right into it a little bit.
War damn dustbuster buzzards.
Yeah, there you go. Or just have a dustbuster be there.
And we're just gonna be the war dustbuster.
Inside joke for those of you. So, oh man, this thing gets off the rails so many times. All right,
it's all because of you.
Yes, I fully acknowledge that it's all my fault. When I saw this as your headline one, I looked at it and I said, okay, just looking at it, this makes absolutely no sense to me.
Makes no sense.
But that's why you shouldn't just write things off. And you should actually go figure out why someone has suggested something, because it may just be more than someone just said, do this. Clint has put effort and time into researching the history of Auburn. And thus, even though you look at this right here and you may not recognize a dang thing related to Auburn, going back in that butterfly effect, he has deconstructed it to reconstruct it in a different multiverse. And I love it, Clint. I'll be honest with you.
There's a thought process here.
I love it.
It doesn't show up well, but it's here.
No, I think obviously you want to go to the article, read the full details as you tried to give us a brief synopsis of all of this. But I think it's a great thing to demonstrate how rich Auburn's history is and what might have been if the history was taken another way, or if somebody said instead of this scarf being shown or this part of the poem was interpreted this way, that where Tigers comes from, we might be sitting here strike first. And I don't hate it.
It's cool. It's cool.
It actually is cool. It's really cool. I appreciate this workup and research you put in. Should try it with the traditional orange and blue as well.
That's honestly how this started. It used to just be, you want to see blue helmets and white pants? Here you go. And there's only so much you can do. And so we do include a couple of, I guess more tame, truly Auburn designs each year. There is one in here that is very historic with Auburn. If you know the bat story again, and the whole bat story is listed in the website. But yeah, we definitely tried to kind of stick to the Auburn roots at times, but also again just prove that point that it's silly, it doesn't really matter, and go as wild as possible.
Yeah, it's really I've liked this one the more that we talked about it. So a great suggestion by your participant there, and then I think a great interpretation of you of how to tie all of that in.
And I'll stop after this one. But last year we had a very similar what if concept, and it was, if you know anything about the early history of the NFL, during World War II, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Pittsburgh Steelers combined because they didn't have enough guys for two teams. So they played under a combined banner for that season. And where's I going with that? The concept was, what if Auburn and Alabama had to do the same thing? So there's another, let's create the bat story and then build it back up kind of thing. Design-wise, it's not the best look, but I think this one definitely tops it. But those are fun to just, here's the history, here's Butterfly Effect, here's where we would be today.
Yeah, absolutely. This one I think was more fulfilling than troubling than I've had in the past. Some of these are like, I walk away and I'm like, if anybody ever takes these and runs with it, I'm going to be very upset. But that one, even as wild as the colors are, as different as all of it is, I will tell you this much, Clint. Well done, sir.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed that one.
Now
you've redeemed yourself.
You've always come at me with like, I love this one, I hate this one. So we're not going to bring them up on screen. Which ones did you love the most and hate the most this year? You can go all the way to the bottom and see a collection photo of them all.
Yes, that's where I am. So, and we're talking about in light of what we just kind of talked through and discussed. I can change because that would probably be a little different. I love the Scorpion one the most now because of the history behind it. I do. I'm serious. I'm a sucker for stories and the reasoning of history. I did not foresee myself buying into this one when I walked in, but now that and obviously the research is already written out there in that form, but hearing you talk about it and that it puts it a little bit more in perspective. I'll be honest with you, the Uncrustables is a little bit hard to stomach.
I think that's my favorite of the bunch, just for how outlandish it is.
I have another word for it, and it ain't outlandish.
What you gonna call it?
That was I probably can't say it here. I would say that's the only one that I hate out of all of it.
Really? Okay.
There's a lot there, man. There's a lot on there. Everything else, even though there's a Godzilla one on here that's kind of just out there. I'm like, hey,
love the Godzilla one.
It's unique. It's cool. It's whatever, like.
Can't you see somebody walking down the street wearing that though?
I
As
could.
like a fashion jersey.
All these nights where Auburn hosting the jungle,
nights,
throwback jersey. This would be like a perfect Auburn weird jersey to wear.
Yes.
And I'm thankful that you threw in softball this year too. I know we've done it in the past, but we always talk about football and baseball and basketball, but it's nice to kind of have that represented in the other sports as well. All right, let's do this. Let's move into some Q&A time. I've saved a few that maybe we haven't hit on fully yet, but if there's anything, Clint, that you want brought up, let me know too. We'll do that here in just a second. Reminders for you all for as we spend our last minutes in Q&A time. And Clint will stay as long as you want to. It's really up to you. I know we're kind of pushing hard on the hour time here. But reminders for you guys, if you are always here, if you're wanting to be here more often, make sure you subscribe, follow that type of stuff. AuburnUniforms.com is where you want to go. Profile or the post link is available to you. The description link is for this article specifically, but AuburnUniforms.com. What else do they need to be aware of with you, Clint?
Boy, it's a busy summer. There's a lot going on. Just 2 weeks ago, published a 7-part series documenting every single Under Armour uniform that the 7 programs documented on the website have worn over the 18-year history with Under Armour. That one is very in-depth, and I think anybody, if you liked the history of that Scorpion jersey design, you're going to love this. It's very detailed, the history of how everything's changed, and it's more so than the jersey's a little different. It's the patch is different, the texture is different, all that kind of stuff. So if you like really in the weeds stuff, this is perfect for you. It's long and it's in depth. It's 18 years times 7 sports, but it's fun. I think you'll enjoy that. Next week is the season recap, so just everything from the 2024-25 season that happened, a look back at this whole year through the lens of uniforms. July 1 is the Nike contract beginning, and I don't know what I'm going to do with my life with the starts. Once merch gets put out, I will hopefully be writing another just apparel overview so that you can see one place what everything should be available, where to shop. You can shop through affiliate links that will support me, and then when football season starts, we've got the college football uniform preview, every single uniform, logo, helmet, field, everything for all of NCAA football, and then I'll probably go hibernate.
So nothing at all. Just nothing going on this summer.
It's busy. Just follow me
busy.
at Auburn Uniforms, and you'll follow it all.
And I know, I know we've said this here before. We do plan to have Clint on when the Nike goes official, just to kind of talk. We hope it'll be the day of, as you probably have gathered. He is a very busy man, given all of these things. So we'll do our best to get him on either the day of or around that time. But just be looking for announcements of that. We won't leave you guys hanging here. Clint will be back to talk about Auburn and Nike officially being partners in the future. All right, let's do some Q&As. How much time you got left? Sorry, I should have asked you. Okay. Let's run through a few of these. This one, after giving you some props from WT there.
Thanks, WT.
Hunter asked, what is a uniform design you realistically can foresee Auburn possibly using in the future? I know it's very broad.
That's a lot of ifs.
Yeah, Hunter's a very hypothetical guy. He comes over from TikTok. He loves, thinking about things in very broad things.
Oh man. Oh geez. See, my brain goes 2 different ways. There's design elements. Will Auburn use orange jerseys for football? Will Auburn add the script to basketball? Will Auburn do this or that for baseball? And then there's also template questions. So Nike's templates are very different. So will Auburn add the AU logo on the collar of the football jerseys? Will Auburn utilize the baseball template and have striped collars? How will the templates impact things? I think if I had to give you a prediction, and Kyle loves my predictions.
Finally,
it's not a prediction, but it's a bold take. I think that you would probably see the script Auburn mark on a basketball uniform, and maybe something a little bit more than just a template change for football.
Okay.
And that means the AU logo on the chest, the button returning. Don't read that as it's happening because it's not. But
That's not what I heard, Clint. That's not what I heard.
yeah, there's a lot of ways that one can be taken. So that's a very interesting question, Hunter. I like it.
So yeah, I figured you'd at least kind of work your way to something that you might see. I'm standing by my prediction. It's not necessarily football related. It is the next design will be the powder blue going to softball. I'm gonna throw it out there and see how long within the next 5 years. That's what I said. This makes me worried. This is more of a comment, and this was very early on the stream. I don't know if Avery's still here or not. I'm very worried for you with he just realized what he's going to suggest.
I know. I'm gonna talk to him about it later.
Do you have any clue what we were talking about when he said that? Like this is now he did come up with the Tumors lemonade design, so we got to give him that.
I need to somehow build on the website kind of like a suggest doors profile.
Yeah.
Avery's had a lot of good ones. There's a couple of mainstays in these articles. I have no idea how I would do that, but that would be kind of cool.
You need to have a Hall of Fame and have everybody vote on these somehow.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Have everybody vote and then put the Hall of Fame and see who stands, over time off of that. You could even
don't give me more work this summer.
Hold
Kyle.
on. This is where mine starts working. So you need to re-release, all the editions. Have everybody vote on their favorite, and so you have the top one, and then you rank the top ones amongst each other for the Hall. I'm telling you, content. Do it now.
There's nothing we said during the stream that inspired it. Avery just clicked off for him. Great. He said yesterday he was going to go ahead and start thinking about next year. So Avery's the planner that I am not. All right, what else you got?
All right, a couple more things here. Let's see. This was from WT. I think this is more of a tongue in cheek. Can we work on an elongated tiger from last year with this year's scorpion on its back? He has been honestly very much a fan of that since you explained it. Now, one thing that you have ruined WT is when you did pointed out, I forget which uniform it was, that the stripe didn't come all the way up. You remember what I'm talking about on the socks or the football. Yeah.
Yeah. The football pants this year, on the waistband.
Yeah. You messed him up. Like he spends at least one stream a month lamenting about that, and he wakes up in a cold sweat at night.
Well, I'll tease you on this for next month. There is one thing in plain sight that I have never noticed, that nobody has ever noticed, and when it's pointed out to you, you're going to be furious.
Maybe you've answered this once. Hunter says, which Auburn sports team do you think has the best uniform concept? Is that
if we're talking just concepts as in what we just created and talked about, basketball, I think, has a lot of potential. Who has the best uniforms currently?
Baseball. I'm just answering for you because I know what you're going to say.
It's either baseball or it would just genuinely be the football team. And the only reason I would say maybe is because I don't love the baseball's orange uniforms.
Yeah.
I don't like the blue. The navy strip gets muddy.
Gotcha.
I don't love that.
Unbeaten Lake says, do you think we'll ever do a 2013 throwback with an unfinished pants stripe?
Absolutely not. And as I said on here before, I know Kyle's heard me say this, I say it all the time. That was not an Auburn uniform design change. That was an Under Armour template change.
Yeah.
And you can... Crap, do I have to pull up another photo? Wait.
I can do it. I can bring it up if you'd like.
Yep.
You'll have to reshare so I can...
Yeah. Well, let's see. So, shoot. Wounded Warriors. Give me some background music.
Hunter says that he really likes the baseball uniforms as well. He's a big fan of those.
Where is the photo?
Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anything else in here. Avery claims that he has planned out for the next decade, so prepare yourself accordingly.
That's what scares me about him.
But see, that's the thing about Avery. He's either going to be maniacal in his suggestions or brilliant in his suggestions.
I found that.
I'll bring it up as soon as you share the screen.
Share tab. Share.
And bringing it up now.
Okay, so 2014, Auburn, South Carolina. South Carolina was supposed to wear these Wounded Warrior uniforms with that weird camo type pattern in the numbers and on the shoulders. It was supposed to be like a 12 o'clock kickoff, and the referee said, we can't read your numbers in the shadows, so they had to scrap the jerseys and get changed, but they kept the helmet and the pants. The reason I show you this is the hamstring stripe. Why do you have stripes on the back of your butt like this?
Because they want to. Sorry.
This wasn't really. I mean, this is a design, but they're just coloring in the template. The template had seams along the sides, and this is just the color inside the lines that resulted from it. So this is just the best way to show you what the template that Auburn wore in 2013 did. So as you can imagine, this seam wrapped around the sides of the knees, and that's what forced the stripe to be tapered like it was. So I don't have a good photo for you right now that shows the side of the pants, but this is what we were working with back then. And that, again, that wasn't a Auburn, let's change it. It was Under Armour, hey, we're doing this. Unfortunately, this happens with that.
Now I'm just staring at inappropriate areas. We've talked way too much about uncomfortable uniform design concepts and locations and things like that.
You're doing it.
I am doing it. All right, one more to make round us out. Hunter asks, can you see Auburn ever expanding on the color gray for our football uniforms like we did in 2019 for the bowl game? Do you remember what he's talking about?
No, that was the gloves, right? I think Auburn had some gloves that were kind of gray. But no, I wouldn't think it's. But as far as apparel this year, it's as much as I'm going to say.
Oh, a little teased in the show tonight. There you go, folks. If you do like the color gray, Hunter, I will tell you, go make sure you go read the article fully. One of the first ones is featured that's got a little bit more gray in it, harkening back to that Oregon uniform. So if you like that, and go look at all of the uniform concepts. This is the 11th edition of what Clint's been doing over these years, over a decade now of uniform concepts, or as I call them, wild and crazy.
I know you're trying to wrap up. Let's hit these last two comments.
Yeah, sure, we can. I'm good.
Lake, the number font is not changing. Nothing is changing. I can tell you that much. I think a lot of people, me included, hoped that Nike's graphic design department would come in and kind of do a quick little rebrand refresh and do a custom number font. But no, that Nike doesn't do that anymore. But also Auburn is kind of stuck in the mud like Kyle, and it's not going to be changing off the copper plate, nor will they be changing the football jersey numbers. So if it helps you sleep at night, Kyle, the only thing changing for football is the template and the logo on the side of the jersey. That's it.
Sorry, I just made everybody upset, though. I honestly,
please don't ever do that again,
Clint. I think I think more people would be in favor than would be at this day and age than just keeping things exactly the same. I think there's more and more of a push these days to try.
And some things have ebbed and flow over the last couple of weeks. Honestly, we're just waiting on official confirmation at this point.
Hey, listen, 1 month left. 1 month left.
Yeah, about that.
I mean, it's not a month. Yeah, but it's almost here.
Do not expect to see a lot on July 1st.
You said that previously, and I hope people are listening to that.
All right, Hunter, the gray face masks were worn from the 60s and 70s up until Doug Barfield changed them to orange in 78, maybe 79. In part, that's because you couldn't paint a face mask. The first team that ever wore a painted colored face mask was the LA Chargers. and when they went yellow in like 77, I think, somewhere around there. So every team wore gray face mask in the 70s. So if you want to piss off an Alabama fan and they're like, our throwback face mask is traditional, it's like, yeah, because they were too cheap to paint them. I don't know what else you would paint them, but so Auburn wore gray face mask until 78 or 79 when Barfield went orange. In 84 or 85, Dye went navy, and then they've been navy ever since up until we started swapping them. 2008, 2007, Vanderbilt was the 50th anniversary of the 1957 championship game, so they wore gray face masks for a throwback. And then 2019, the Outback Bowl against Minnesota wore gray face mask as a tribute to Pat Sullivan, who had just passed away.
There you go. All the history tied into one thing with the gray face mask.
And Auburn has won football games in orange jerseys.
Just to,
on that one.
Just to make sure you get that in one more time. There was the comment, if you guys were all wondering what he was referencing there. That comes up no matter what, either in jest or seriousness, every single stream when Clinton's on, it feels like. Okay, Clint, well, there it is. Everybody go check it out, auburnuniforms.com. Link is in our description and on our posts. If you're watching over on social media, we appreciate you guys spending some time with us today, showing the love.
Pull up my screen. Pull up my screen.
Oh gosh. Oh, no.
We didn't get a chance to use this today.
Oh.
And we were going to laugh at any of you that thought these concepts were stupid because you don't get a joke.
And if we knew WT wasn't joking earlier, I would have called it up for you to do it. I know WT well enough to know that he was saying his displeasure in jest mainly, just to.
We were going to joke on y'all for not understanding how jokes work.
And yet here we are.
There you go. This had to get brought up anyways. So.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. We appreciate you being here and sharing with us in the Auburn experience. Until we get the chance to talk to you again, War Eagle.
War Eagle.